All right, so now that we have this thing hand sanded down to a pretty good finish, now we're ready to finally etch this thing.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Tape my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.
So here we are at what is pretty much the last step of this build, and that is putting an edge on the blade. And if you've watched my videos before, then you've seen me do this process. If you're new to the channel, pretty much what I'm doing here is using my little system that I kind of made out of scrap stuff to put an edge on the blade. I have the 1x30 belt sander, belt grinder, and this was the very first machine that I bought. And once I got the upgraded machine, the 2x42, I kind of put this away, and I don't really use it much except for finishing the edge. I really like to use it for that. Just, I have a lot of belts for it, and it's good. Here you can see I'm using a clamp, and that's just to hold that tensioner arm a little tighter, and that way you don't get as much wobble on the platen. The belt just kind of runs a little smoother. So I'm kind of working up through the belts. I started with the 120, this is a 400, and I finish out I think at an 800 grit, followed by stropping. But it's a pretty simple system. It's one that I just kind of came up with watching other people and how they do it. It's just a bar that goes over top of the belt, and then it utilizes a little clamp that holds the knife. And what that does is it keeps it at a really consistent angle, and you're able to get a pretty good edge in a pretty quick amount of time, which is why I really like it. And here you can see it's got a pretty good edge put on it, and really the only thing left to do is strop it and give it a test. Just kidding. This isn't Tyrell Knife Works. I'm not Dennis Tyrell, and this certainly is not his quality and his standard of blade, but it is pretty cool. And for my second Damascus blade, I think it came out pretty good. I really like the pattern. It's different, and being a low layer, it's nice and bold. You can really see in the dark lines, you can see that extra piece of 15 and 20. I guess these were different pieces. So this 15 and 20 I just recently bought from, I want to say, Maritime Knife Supply. The other piece that's hiding inside of this dark that you can kind of pick up in there, and very slightly on this side, there it is, that is 15 and 20 as well. So it's something to think about. I'm new to the whole pattern welded steel blade realm, so I'm by no means an expert, but it is interesting to note that even though these metals were similar or supposed to be the same, they actually etched different. So probably just more nickel in this than this, I guess. But it's one thing to keep in mind if you are new to this and you're trying to make something similar, and maybe you wanted a really bright line inside of here, then I would recommend using the same steel for that, if you kind of get what I'm saying. Hopefully that wasn't confusing. But I've also had other knives in the past where I've tried to make one of the first ones I did was a San Mai, and I had so much trouble getting the steels to etch different. They both etched dark at the same rate, and I bought those steels on Amazon. One was 1080 and the other one was 15 and 20, 8 pieces for 20 bucks. How could you go wrong? Well, I'm here to tell you, you can go wrong by trying to get it on Amazon on the cheapest listing you can find. I learned my lesson from that. I will now be buying almost all of my steels, good quality steels, from an actual knife supplier, just for that reason, that I want to make sure I know that it is what it is. So something to think about. The other couple of takeaways I have from this, number one, the wood. This is blood wood, and I've used it before, and it is just super cool. I love the fact that it's got orange and red tint, but that you can see all the dark lines in it. I really just think it's pretty basic, but man, is it a nice wood when it's polished up. I just really like it. So it's something I'll definitely be using again. Number two, and probably the bigger takeaway, is if you look at it, you're probably noticing these spots up here that are lighter in appearance than both of the other steels. And that, I want to say, is probably the mild steel from my MIG welding. And I've heard other people talk about it before, that you need to grind off the weld or it will etch kind of a grayish color. Well, bingo bango, bingo bango, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. There it is. So now I know for next time why it's important to do that. And in all honesty, before I etched this, there was a few little cracks in here still left, and I could have continued to grind it down, but you know, this whole thing is a learning experience, and so that in and of itself is awesome, because I've learned quite a bit making this thing. Not only those things, but also the whole process. There's a lot to it, not just forging the steel, but also finishing it out, etching it, that whole thing. So anyway, it's a really cool knife. I'm glad that I made it, and it actually turned out wicked cool. The pommel is pretty sweet. It's just, there was a clip of it earlier. This actually was something, it's like a knob or something. I like to just find things in the junk drawer, stick it on the knife, and to me, it looks like it belongs. It's just meant to be. So yeah, anyway, really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks so much for staying tuned to this point. Give the video a like. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Appreciate you guys watching, and catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.